Hey, what's up, everybody? I just wanted to come back with another brief video. God has got me really just focusing on it, and I've been kept away from being able to record for the longest amount of time, mostly probably because God was waiting to have the people be at an appropriate time, mood, and mindset. I believe that He has a specific message to specific settings of people that are willing to listen, and that even if you don't listen to these videos now, that later on they will be a help to you in your time of distress. Hopefully, I'm just asking that you keep an open mind. Please keep an open mind. Don't judge and all that stuff just based on what you see here. You need to judge by the fruit of the Spirit what's happening. Okay? Let me just move into the fact that I pray that you guys will keep, you know, awareness at the forefront of your existence right now. You need to have your eyes open. And I'm not saying this because I'm trying to control you by any means, but you need to keep your mind open to what God is trying to suggest to you. We are getting ready to move into a time that is going to be very, very strenuous. The spirit of the Antichrist is already moving through the airways like you haven't ever seen. And the spirit of wickedness is already a mainstay in the hearts of the people. I've done a post or two recently, video and a write-up on YouTube, on Facebook. Did the video on YouTube concerning some specific things about the drug use of the communities, namely the use of the drug cocaine. And here I am sitting here with dried I blow my nose and it looked like I've been doing some dope or something, but I ain't never did that stuff. But I'm letting you know that that drug is associated with the root chakra of wickedness because it opens up the third eye. The third eye is the center of the brain called the pineal. That's where it's originated from. All of its electrical faculties and everything else. The thing that generates the spirit is located in the pineal gland of the brain. See, Jesus was the originator of the pineal. He had the pineal that God gave him. And so his spirit force was pure and supernatural from the heavens. But when you use the drug cocaine, it was designed to tap into the spiritual root chakra of wickedness. And so the drug cocaine is a direct opposition to the holiness of God. A direct opposition. When you take that drug, it changes your mind into a typesetting and structure that causes you to believe that you are God or a God. And that's bullcrap. It's a trick. It's something that the devil came up with that God didn't speak against. He also did not give permission for it. But he didn't speak against it because we have free will for this time. We have had free will for this time. He's allowed people to sort of make their own decisions. And they've chosen to allow that drug to take over. Families, children, especially in the Mexican population. Okay? Actually, that's where some of the purest forms of it is trucked in from across the border. Okay? Those people in Santeria Voodoo understand exactly the stronghold that cocaine has on anyone who uses it for the first time. Even if incidentally you end up with some trace elements on you, on your clothes, on your feet, you put your hands in your mouth and you touch the surface where somebody else had trace elements on their hand or whatever, it can get into your system. And even that causes you to be tied in to the root chakra of wickedness. That's what happened to me. I'm a living example of what happens when you have that stuff around you and you don't know it. that, you know, the debris of it all is flying around through the air. Somebody has it on their clothes. They give you a hug. There it is, or whatever. But we're speaking about those who willfully choose to use cocaine. Now, what I've done is spent these past few years overcoming all of that. I did not realize how calculated I was into the wicked system of this world by trace elements of those drugs, namely cocaine. That it had gotten into my system and it had implanted itself just like a microchip or some kind of computer generated programming, software, whatever. It gets into the body and it sets a stronghold by the spirit. It also has a chemical property to it that directly falls in line with the blood processes of the system, and it flows through the body and it can go through the brain, and then it taps into, because it's microbial, it taps into the pineal gland, and in the sensors of the brain it settles in. It's no different than having cameras that are so microscopic and tiny, so particles that are so crisp and tiny that when you ingest them into your body, they can find different places to settle inside your mind. And that's the target demographic for that drug. It wants to go to the mind. It wants to go to the spiritual center of your brain. And even if you decide to get sober from it, you're still bound by the spiritual stronghold. It takes 10 years for the stuff to get out your system and you to never be tempted by it again. But even so, when you go into some kind of program in order to become sober, that program takes charge of you. And by the spirit, you can still revert back to the use of that drug without wanting to. You have no more control once you are putting that drug into your system. And so that drug is grounded and seated in wickedness so much on this earth that everything is permeated by it. And so from the earth to the heavens, I was sealed up under a drug that I had never used before. And so I'm here to let you know that we're getting ready to walk into a time where God is saying, because of the use of that drug, you've made your decisions to use it. Now you must deal with the consequences. Because of the use of that drug, you will no longer have control by the spirit over yourself. You can look right there. There's a dude carrying a white washcloth, and he's ready. You see them dreadlocks in his head? That's another example of a thing that was developed here upon the land that the people took part in, that is root chakra wickedness. But it does have a holy affect, and that goes back to Samson. Samson, although it was a curse, him not cutting his hair, that was him placing himself above God, in that his mother told him, if you cut your hair, you'll lose your strength. Well, the selfishness in all of us says, I want to be strong, so no, I'm not going to cut my hair off. That was him deciding that he was some form of God in his own right. He might not have understood it right then, but as an adult, surely he understood. God still got the glory out of that, but I've already done a post on that. You can go read it later. Listen, I'm going to have to come back with the remaining aspect of this video so that I can explain to you what old boy's doing. He ain't doing nothing but walking up sequences for those that wear dreadlocks. If you have never experienced cocaine, or you once used it and got off of it, you're getting ready to go back. See, God is taking everything back. See, what God does is when he decides that you're called, even more so chosen, he does not take his hand off you. You might believe he did for a fortnight, but no. He's coming to get you and take you back through your mess so that you can understand what went wrong in the first place. And then if you're chosen, he'll help you to overcome it. If you're remnant, you'll have to die first. Physically die. Because then your vessel is not sealed. And so God has no use for it. I'll explain more in the next video. Stay tuned.